So Scott, to compliment Tanya and to get to your question, a question that we typically ask kids this was one of my favorite questions when I was coaching. So this is in the preparatory stages for them to go either on an unofficial or official visit. Tell me something about yourself that's not on your resume. So usually that comes up with, I was in show choir for 5 years. I'm in 4-H. I've got 4 siblings and I'm the only girl. I'm the first female caddy at Shinnecock Hills. I got that answer once. Yes.
Well, that says that immediately says,
yeah.
From an instructor standpoint, I'm like, I want to coach her in a heartbeat.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong too, Coach Mary.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. What I was going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's kind of an intentional, open-ended question. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, and it, that resume all of a sudden transformed to, oh my gosh, this is someone I have to keep my eyes on. Like, she's a leader, she's brave. Like, whoa,
she's more than a number.
Yeah. And so that's what that question
and Tanya
is.
loves some numbers.
Tell me your story.
Well, and Coach Mary too, like, what is, I imagine you can answer that any way you want, and I imagine even if, like you said, even if it's not golf related, what are you looking for when you are asking that question? Are you looking for somebody who might have like a passion that's outside of golf, and you want to see that, like, hey, I can keep my head other places, or are you looking for like a work ethic piece? Tell me a little bit about what an ideal answer to that question might be.
Yeah, I think, certainly kind of all of the above. I loved multi-sport athletes. I mean, I know Scott is big on movement patterns and just what skills athletes have that they bring to golf. So to me, multi-sport athletes, and I was looking at a lot of late bloomers at the universities I was at typically. And so knowing they were great teammates, knowing they could collaborate and work with others, that to me was big. Kind of well-roundedness, knowing that golf wasn't their identity. So it didn't really matter to me what it was, but something that was meaningful to them that they had as kind of an outlet or a release or a complement to their academics and athletics. Yeah, that kind of gave them personality.
Totally, yeah, and it could also, like, I like the way you said, it's not necessarily what they say, but more how they say it in some cases as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ginger's got some.
Yeah, just slightly different twist to that. In parallel, I would call their golf professional, whether that be their teaching professional. Sometimes I would find out where they play and call the golf professional, the head professional that leads the golf course, and just, hi, my name is Ginger Brown Lemm. I coach at X school. I'm in the recruiting process and I'm investigating Julie Smith. And I'd just like to know from your perspective what kind of kid she is. Tell me about her parents. Are they active members of your club? And I would want to find out a little perspective from somebody that's just out of the one that you're fed. And you find out quite a lot, by the way that they answer that question. You find out if the parents are too involved or cuckoo or whatever.
To that end, like I've had to, like, we intimately know, especially as teachers and coaches, like you know this, like if you call the golf professional, like they know a lot about this family, they know a lot about the kid, what they've struggled with, what they're dealing with at school, what their relationships are like, with their siblings, with their parents, like, and some coaches will take that hard thing. Like I've had some players go other places and they're like, I can help coach that. And there are other coaches that know that they can't handle that, and so that it wouldn't be a good fit for the program, it would be a good fit for the player, wouldn't be a good fit for the family. Like, there's both on the good and the bad. So just because there's something bad in the family doesn't mean that there's not a coach who can't coach that. There
not
are
at
coaches
all.
who can coach that.
In fact, I had a pretty dominant father who was my teacher, and so my ability to handle that is quite a lot easier than somebody that has had no experience with a very, very strong insert himself in a lot of different things. So it that perspective, you hate it at the time when you're growing up with it, but it sure did make me strong and an advocate for kids and asking, as you get them as freshmen, what do you think? What do you want for yourself? How can we support you? And let them grow independent of that dominant parental influence over many years.
That's the one thing I that I'm starting to pick up as a trend, and what we're talking about on the podcast is that out of everything that we've talked about, I think we've spent maybe 15 combined seconds talking about scoring averages and what makes you a good athlete, right? We've talked about headspace, how you were raised, the kind of person you are, and the kind of fit for the program. And I think that that's what so many people fail to realize, because the top stories are these PGA superstars who were known for shooting such low scores at such a young age.
Yeah, and you can fudge a resume. You can make a resume look better than it actually is. But when you have the whole person and you have the whole story and you have the whole fit, and coaches can do the same thing, right? Like, they can play something up that's better than it really is, or maybe it's not better, but it's different than it really is. And so, like, when you have guides, if you will, Sherpas, since y'all know me and I like my climbing, right? Like, you have your Sherpas, if you will, like, guide you up this mountain, and to bring this full circle back. Hank used to say you can't take somebody further up the mountain than you've traveled yourself. You really can't, and so, it's really neat that what you all do in your combined experience allows us to do that.
One thing that I'd like to ask you guys is, take me through a theoretical example. Let's say I'm a 17-year-old, 17 or let's just say I'm a 16 or 17-year-old who wants to play golf at the next level. You can use me as a guinea pig here. I want to go play golf at the next level, and I average, I don't know, I've got a decent swing, and I average around 69. Like, what is
go higher than that.
70? Let's just say 71.
Go 76.
Okay, 76.
76.
We'll say 76.
That's probably a fairly common place. 76 to 80 in junior tournament.
It's a dime a dozen, and if you're 17,
Sure.
it's too late.
Let's say I've dabbled.
So
great.
There you go. There's your first.
Perfect.
Like,
There's your first
reality.
First touch. Yeah. Let's say I also have a few really good rounds, and maybe I've touched the 60s before.
Okay.
How does
That's
that?
fair.
how
I'll
does that
say
look
this,
like?
and I'll let them follow up. The first moment that you want to play college golf, I don't care if it's the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, there's something that you can be doing, whether it's tournament prep, tournament schedule, doing some research, going, I know there are official and unofficial visits, but I would say the number one mistake families make is they don't see enough campuses. You've got to see there are just shy of 300 D1 men's programs. And when I ask that question, the question is, how many do you think there are? There's like 60. Kids, they know.
They're not even
know
close.
The football program, not even close. Kids know the big football teams. They know the SEC. They know all the Power Fives, but they don't know just shy of 300. And then there's another hurdle we jump over, which is D1-itis. It's D1 or bust. Well, you're selling yourself short, because as we just proved with D2, those kids are shooting under par in the D2 world. And I can take it one step further. In AIA, Dalton State, they've won like 3 out of the last 5 national championships, and I could put them against any D1 program, and they're shooting under par.
Well, Mike, at this
Let's not.
championship, Mike is playing the same golf course as they are. He shot the lowest round of anybody at Shoal Creek. He's D2.
Well, let's not. This is what I was going to say. As somebody who's known a lot of people who have played college baseball, is that those Division II folk are grinders, because those guys are the ones who are still really good, but they don't have the fancy facilities and the meal plans and all that kind of stuff, and they're not owed anything. And so when they go out there, they want blood. I don't care whatever sport it is. I'll
say this too, that golf. What's so unique about golf, I believe this is the case over every other sport. It's a bold statement, but over every other sport is it's you against the golf course. You're actually not playing against anybody,
right?
And so other than maybe the few match plays at the end of the year that happen or those special events, but it's you against the golf course. Good golf at 7,100 yards at NAIA, D3, D2, D1, I don't care. 66 is a 66 at Shoal Creek. That's what it is. You don't get that anywhere. Like other sports, if you got a D2, bottom D2 school, like there's a chance, like if you play them against a mid-level D1 school, there's a good chance you're getting beat in basketball, football, baseball. But golf doesn't have that. Like golf's so unique in that ability to.
I was about to say that. I love that.
Yeah. And I would say your top level D2, D3 will beat your mid majors every day. It's not and I could go on this tangent. Scott knows me. I could talk passionately about this forever, but and I'll try not to. But there's just so many unique facets about golf in the recruiting world, and we can't answer your question because we don't know the backstory to your question.
No, that's fair enough, and that's kind of what I was getting to.
I can't put you on a path because we'd have to sit and talk to you for another 30 minutes to find out your backstory, what you've done, where have you been, what have you played in, and where do you want to go. So
fair.
But
there's the boutique part.
To add to that, however, I mean, the first question we would ask, okay, you've shot under par. In what type of competition? How long was the golf course? What were the conditions like? So if you're saying, well, it was my club championship and I played it from 6,400 yards, well, that's not really going to level up with the same score from your state am, right? So That's just the very first starting point is what's the competition you're surrounding yourself with? Because honestly, that's a big factor. There's just not an understanding of being strategic about what you play in, playing too much at times, thinking you've got to play instead of, Scott's got his kids on, you're going to practice for this long, you're going to prepare for an event, play for an event, rest. They think, okay, school's done, I'm going to play all summer. Well, might not be
when are we going to get any work done? Like I can't. Like if you just play all summer, I can't get any work done. And I watch. It's really neat if you look at, and I'll say top schools, not in the sense of D1, D2, D3, just like really good coaches. You see them set their schedule so that there's time to perform, and then there's a block of rest in there for us to get to work on the things we need to work on. This is why like us working together as a team works really well. Of bringing them down, and I'll say this, and I'll let Jack kind of try to close out a little bit, but is on the sense of like they don't send any mass emails out. They really don't. So like we have a special program that's coming up into this month, Golf Decoded 2.0. Generally speaking, higher level players who've played for a while, who have more passion, they've already been to the first one. It's like even those emails that y'all send out, like there's a personalized intro at the start of the email, and the body of the email may be the same. But like it's not just like, hey, you. It's like, hey, we've talked about this. We talked about this last week. Like it's intentional, and they don't send it to their entire student base or their entire client family base, whatever it is. Like you don't send it to the entire thing. You send it to the people that are intentional with it. And like we might have somebody over here on the fringes if we don't fill it. Like they're not. The other thing is the fact that they're providing opportunities to come see people like me. I've heard about some of the other things and places that they send kids to families, opportunities for them to learn that they wouldn't even know exist if it weren't for them doing the hard work and research and following other instructors and programs and learning styles and sports psychology opportunity. Like there's just so much that they offer. You're going to get what you pay for. No different than you come get a lesson here with me or jump in our programs or go get fit from Scott Wilkerson, who's not cheap. He's a PGA Tour fitter. But you're going to get what it is that you spend your money on. If you go cheap, you're going to get cheap.
Kind of giving you a little more credit there, Scott. One of my clients, younger kid, I took the opportunity to get several copies of your book and send them out to all my clients for the Champions Playbook. And we literally would Skype or have a phone call weekly and talk about a chapter at a time and coach them through perspective and maturing on the golf course by just some of the policies and ideas that you shared with your book. So I've been able to utilize and grow some of these younger ones just through your words and your organized thought. with the Champions Playbook.
I think that's so cool because, like, what we're doing here, especially with you guys as well, is, and we've got a lot of people who listen to the podcast who have young kids or have kids who are in Scott's junior programs, and I think it's really good what we're doing here as far as we've got the entire roadmap here all the way through college.
I literally have everything you need right here at Franklin Bridge, and we had a lunch meeting today with a trainer at a facility that's literally a mile and a half here. They're going to come. Kids are going to start coming to our pre-elite classes. You're going to get your instruction, and when you're done here at 5:30 on a Tuesday, you're going straight to the gym right after, right? So, like, we literally have everything you need right in one place. Don't go look anywhere else. And we know it works. They get results. We get results. The places we're connecting you with get results, and it's not just results though. Like,
it's what you want. It's getting you to where you want to go.
It's getting you where you want to go, and we care about who you are and what it is that you want.
So
I don't want a misconception out there about us being 3 to 4 women and only helping junior girls. We very much have male clients, and very much there is no difference in terms of how we treat a client. We get to know them just as well. We know as many men coaches, close to as many men coaches as we do on the female side, for sure. It's about the client 100%, whether that's a female or male.
You know what, Coach, is like, as you said that, I didn't even think that anybody on the podcast would even think about that. I mean, y'all's resumes and y'all's tenures at everywhere that you were, I'm just like, I don't care who you are. Like, I think you're gonna be able to get me in the school that I want to go to. So that's amazing, and I appreciate you bringing that up too. Guys, as we kind of close out the podcast, we really appreciate you being on. I'd love to hear from each of you, maybe like a tip or trick that you guys have learned along the way, either being a coach or now being on this side of the coin. Just what's 1 or 2 things that somebody who wants to go play golf at the next level, regardless of what it is, what they can start doing today, or just something maybe they're further along in the process, or maybe they're just getting started. What advice might you have for them?
And keep this in mind as you answer the question. You may be able to touch different parts. I do have a number of my junior golfers that listen to the podcast on the regular. That I have one girl that's listens to it with her dad, and she loves listening to it. And she's listening to it on her way home from school sometimes. And she's just starting golf. Like, she's brand new to golf, and she's 12 or 13. And then all the way up to, we have grandparents and parents of kids. So we've got this whole, like,
we run the gamut.
Yeah, we got the whole gamut of people that listen to us, and not just here locally in the Southeast, but all globally and throughout the nation. So speak to that. You have to answer to all humans of all kinds. So.
I'm gonna let you guys start, and I'll wrap up.
Perfect. I'm gonna personally go with the psychological side. I think it's an overlooked component to peak performance in our game. I think that there are swing coaches, and then there are whole body, whole mind, like you guys do it at Franklin Bridge. Y'all address fitness, nutrition. You train the short game, and you train the putting, and you train irons, and you train strategy. And with the Champions Playbook, you're mirroring. I just know that as a collegiate coach, how you handle yourself internally, how you speak to yourself out there in the heat of the moment, how you train yourself to speak to yourself, it's monumental to performance.
That's anywhere, praise, right?
At any level.
Well, I think too, Tanya, you had mentioned earlier, like, one of the things uniquely you bring is you continue to compete. And Elijah continuing to play, it's been really cool. He shot 30 and 29 in several of his playing lessons recently, right? And it's like, the people are wowed by that, but that, like, and that's cool. But what's really neat, and all of you have known people that you've played with that can't teach a lick. They can play great, but they can't teach a lick. They can't translate it. And Elijah does that. He helps them deal with the internal dialogue, like, because he's an active player, they start to ask him questions that they don't ask me. I don't actively play. I don't really remember what that pressure feels like. I have moments, right? And I can coach it, but no, I think she's right. It's overlooked, and we have all those pieces here.
Start early. Start early.
Yeah. Especially if, like, the kid isn't in a great environment. If they've had, some major life struggles or setbacks, or getting them in the right environment is huge. We have kids coaching each other now, which is super cool. We got to see it yesterday. Like they're stepping in, like they're starting to mentor, and they're mentoring in the frame of what the kid needs to work on, which is so cool. And so now they've got a culture, a community. We're trying to model, like, this is what college golf should be like. And if you don't find that fit who can help you, then that's not the place for you to be.
No.
So, Mary.
I certainly could go the direction that Ginger went, and I am a firm believer that you have to have a mental system. Whatever it is, you have to have one. You have to train it. But I'm not going to go there. But just know that that's hanging out there. This may seem very fundamental, but Scott and Jack, I think this can apply to any junior golfer that you meet. Is at the foundation, if you can be organized, start using a planner now, organize your time, plan out your week. You've got to manage your obstacles so they don't become barriers. Mm-hmm. And some of that is goal setting too. You've got to have some people who help you set goals with a timeline, because that's how you're going to get to work. If you don't have something to motivate you to get out of bed, like, what are you working for? Mm-hmm. So goals, organization, and just kind of side tangential. I can tell you one of the most successful teams I was around at Washington University that won multiple national championships. A lot of those women did not post on social media. Some of them didn't even have account.
Wow.
Whole nother conversation we can have another.
Hashtag tangent. We could run that one for 4 hours.
Yeah, Mary, we might have to have
that's actually part of our proposals, how to handle your social media. That is a line item in our
very cool
proposals.
So self-control, monitoring the social media, getting these things out of your bedroom at night so you can get quality rest. I think that all goes in with the organization, planning, being intentional about what you're doing, chasing your goals.
That's so great, because like the one thing that I'm thinking about the social media too is, like, it's not necessarily about what you post.
I've wanted to say that forever, and you said it, and I'm like, free reign, I'm going to say it too.
Golf Decoded 2.0.
Yep.
That's right.
That's crazy.
That's so good.
But it's not necessarily what...
Both Ginger started with it, and then it was like, she teed that thing up, and it was like, out of the park.
Scott,
that was definitely like a golf hand action and not a baseball hand action. Sorry, if you're watching. And I know Jack's thinking it like, that's not how you swing a baseball bat, bro. Like, it looks like this. Sorry, go ahead. Right?
No.
I think Mary dropped the
mental health piece. It's not just about hitting a golf ball. It's the whole mental health piece.
Yeah.
Totally.
The organization and goal setting and the social media monitoring and and sleep and being able to handle boyfriend breaking up and often a grandparent passes away when a kid's in college, and the ability to handle that. It's you got to have a rock. You got to have a system.
It's amazing. That's so good.
Mary, that was incredible. We cut you off. Sorry, you can finish that thought. One step.
Who's this we
step.
business, Scott? You were so excited about it. Yeah.
That's so good.
I mean, the 1%. Rose Zhang makes 100 4-foot putts every day. Like, do you want to be the 1%?
Yeah.
The 1% puts these away. The 1% sets goals. The 1% doesn't let obstacles become barriers.
Yeah.
And if you're not the 1%, that's okay. There's a place for you. Yeah. But if you want to get really serious about the things that are important to you, like, you got to pare away the noise. Got to get rid of it.
I have a couple of students, not just kids, but I have one kid in my mind in particular that needs to hear that exact piece. Is they want to play. I don't even say if it's a guy or a girl, so they don't know. But they want to play professional golf, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I actually just want to laugh at you right now. You're not doing anything that's anywhere close, and you think that you are. I was like, and so I compare them to a kid in the area where that they think is so great. I'm going, what do you think that person's doing right now? They're not doing what you're doing. I can tell you that. That's incredible.
Tanya, round us out. Round us out here. Love to hear what you think.
That is a really big set of shoes to fill. No, to kind of piggyback on what they both said, it comes down to coaches love kids that can have great time management, right? And Mary and I both hammer home, it's what we start with. And we start them in the 8th grade. So you talk about the levels and when do you start and what do you do with a 7th grader and what do you do with an 11th grader? It starts with time management, and because life is going to happen and the recruiting process is not going to wait for you. So there's a lot of things that you're not going to be able to go back and do. You have to do it first, or you have to do it because all of a sudden you're going to look up and you're going to be a junior and then you're going to call someone in a panic. But it's like cramming for a test. It doesn't work so great. So if you start early and you get on the right path and you do your time management and you start your I don't want to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be journals, but you're planning and you're putting yourself on a schedule and making it a priority. And another great thing that Mary always says too is you can't improve what you don't measure. So start measuring those things. So you set your goals and you make these benchmarks for yourself, but they have to be realistic. And I guess the last thing I want to say with wrapping all this up, doing this for 14 plus years, and I hope you guys will get this is, do you want to be on the bus or do you want to watch it leave? Do you?
She hit you with the hard one. Tate's gonna have to cut that.
There we go.
So, and I can explain if you'd like, or Scott, you can. Do you want to go to a program that you're playing, you're competing, you're a part of? Or are you going to go and I'm stealing this from a colleague. I'm not going to pretend to make it my own. Or are you chasing the sweatshirt, right? You're going to go to a program and you're going to wear the sweatshirt and you never tee it up in competition. Or are you going to go and you're going to be on the bus and you're going to compete and you're going to say, yeah, I played college golf for 4 years and it was awesome because I was in the heart of competition.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, ladies, we really appreciate you, all you guys, just being on here tonight, and especially at a later hour. So, just thanks so much for including that, all of your contributions, and for those of the people who are listening to us right now, if they want to know more, where can they find you guys?
Yeah, so rsascouting.com is our website. All of our information is on there. We're on Instagram. Mary's great. She's our Instagram guru. So
RSA recruiting there, yeah.
Sorry, did I lose you there for a second?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. So Mary, you can go with our handles.
Yeah, so recruiting student for Instagram, and then I am at MK Swanson LPGA on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. And then Ginger, your handle?
I am Coach Brown Lemm on Instagram, or Coach Ginger RSA.
Awesome. Well, y'all, we really appreciate you guys being on, and I know that there are people at this club and listening to this podcast who are going to get a lot of good stuff from you guys. So we really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Cool, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Champions Playbook. And as always, you can find us on Apple Music, on Spotify, and on YouTube as well. On YouTube, it's No Mulligans Podcast, and you can find us on Spotify and Apple, just No Mulligans. No Mulligans. So thanks, y'all, so much for watching. Thanks, guys, for being on. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
There's no rule! Shoot a lower score. There's one rule!